Hi, welcome back to another video. Last video, we went over application deployment hardening technique. This video is going to be it's going to be a kind of a vertical kind of thing. It's going to be application host hardening techniques. They'll just dive right into it. So first, first exercise is going to be built around endpoint detection or protection rather. So most OSs, right, have built-in anti-malware programs, right, to safeguard against viruses and unwanted email messages and, of course, spyware. Some of these actually can be a waste of time for the user. So while some might lead to, let's say, system malfunction, resulting in data or business loss, unfortunately, new malware is released frequently, right? So it's recommended to keep the anti-malware updated as much as possible, the application. So we're going to implement some of the recommended practices at least, so we can keep updating the anti-malware application using online scanners, implementing built-in security features, and a few other things, right? Looking at antivirus and anti-malware, like worms, ransomware, viruses, spyware. I talk about this in other videos as well. Endpoint detection and response, host intrusion prevention systems, data loss prevention, next generation firewalls, and a bunch of other things, right? So what we're going to do in our first task is actually use the Windows Defender. So let's see, Windows 10, we're good. Let's take a look at the Windows Security app. So we're actually going to make sure everything is up to date. Let's get in here. Right, let's actually open that up. So now what we're going to do, actually going to take a look at the scan. Yeah, I did find, yeah, okay, so I already ran the scan prior to recording this. And as you can see, no threat found, scan lasted. It says it's a minute and 30 seconds, but it most certainly was not that long. I don't know what this computer clock, internal clock is. I'm not sure. But anyway, the older the signature or the definition, right, the more outdated your information is as far as your protection updates. So the more outdated it is, it increases the risk to your computer. So you want to make sure that number of days since the last update is as close to, whatever date you're at as possible. So now that we run the scan at the system, right, I understand that we can also specify the scan to be a full scan or a custom scan, right? I ran a quick one. And after the scan is complete, we see a small result of the window on the right, usually in a corner, right in front of you, right? Just to be there. So we can also see that there are no current threats, right? In this section now lists the details of our latest scan, right? And then we can also check for updates here as well. As far as our security intelligence, I actually back up out of here as well, and it will still be checking for us. So also, just want to see if anything can be downloaded or installed as far as updating, as far as any updates. So we can also notate that it'll show it here as well, but we can also see that it'll show us the timestamp as far as there are no updates available currently. Blah, 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 things of that nature, right? So we can actually take a look at managing our settings as well. So we can actually automate this as well. Just not going to do that now, but I'm just, adding to it. So we can actually, let's see, add some exclusions, right? So let's go here. Oh, do this folder. Okay. There it is. There it is. Yes, of course. All right, perfect. So now that particular folder, the manager's folder for the local drive, is now excluded from the scan whenever there's anything that we're taking a look for, right? So we're actually going to take a step back again. So I'm actually going to take a look at different scan options that I mentioned as far as any like custom scans, right? So I'm actually going to let's actually see custom scan now. All right, so, and you could also, if you want, and it'll populate here, we can choose specific files or folders to scan as well. We can choose the custom scan option to choose which one, right? So what I'm going to do is actually, let me take a look at the local disk, and I'm actually going to select managers. So I'm going to select the folders to scan, right? And then skip during scan. All right, perfect. So now we see that 05 scan, as you can see the notification that I got. All right, so this is because the manager's folder is selective for scanning is marked as an exclusion, right? So therefore it skips from scanning. So therefore nothing will scan. So I'm actually going to get out of here. All right, and I'll go back to the home page. All right, so now we're just going to use an online anti-malware scanner as well. So I'm actually going to download the Microsoft safety scanner and use it to scan the system. So let's actually close this out. Let's open up Edge. Take a look here. Let's see. That should be on the install files, but nonetheless, you know, I don't know why that bothers me. Mm-hmm. All right, so I don't know how to spell. Perfect. All right, so I'm just gonna download it from here, 64-bit. Okay, it's taking a while for 0 seconds. Come on, don't be scared. I'm not gonna bite you. There it is. What? That's why I got that. All right, perfect. So the scanning is going to put us on the other side of it. We'll put you guys on the other side of it as far as this video. Then once the scanning done, then we can move forward. All right. So the scan is finally completed. No virus, malware, other whatever software, unwanted software was found. So we can actually go ahead and finish. Don't want to work. Apparently it doesn't. Should have just called in if you're sick, buddy. I would have understood. All right, so we can click finish. This was the other one that I had. I click it open a million times. But we're just going to verify and adjust the Windows firewall. Uh, so we have to first verify that the firewall is activated. So we're just going to make a change to the rule within the firewall that governs the kind of traffic that can pass through, right? We actually kind of done this on other videos as well. But since we consider the endpoint protection here, this is how we're going to take care of it. So let's open up firewall. Let's see here. Sorry, inbound. Now this is just all the pre-installed inbound rules right here. So these rules can actually be configured to apply to only specific computers, right? You like user accounts, programs, services, port numbers, protocols, and even network adapters, right? So I'm actually looking for local port. Actually, is it? Make sure it's in alphabetical order. It is. All right. Or I can actually go in alphabetical order will be here. Let's see. Oh, this is fine. Uh, actually, hmm, it doesn't let you filter by name. That's weird. Okay, that's not what I want. Hmm. You're right. So I was able to find the local port. I forgot to to go east and west versus just north and south. That was my bad. So I was specifically looking for port 80. This port is typically used for allowing access to a web server. So the first rule that applies to port 80, right, which is could be the actually how do I use which is the branch cache, right, the hosted cache server. Actually going to enable this. Um, right, perfect. So now it's enabled. All right, so this actually allows traffic through port 80, of course. So there's no effect since it is disabled. Of course, if it was disabled, the firewall doesn't consider this rule. So this has a similar effect to enabling the rule, right, and setting the action to block. So because firewalls are set to block any traffic source, right, that does not have any rules specifically allowing it. So let's see. Yeah, it's not checking it. All right, perfect. So now I'm just going to actually open it up here. And then we want to allow the connection. That looks good. So now we have saved a rule change, right? So the inbound traffic would now be allowed on port 80, right? So, and the rule is, of course, again, activated. So we're good here. So opening port 80 also would be something that we would do if we activated the IIS web server, which I did on another video, establishing a binding to port 80. So, which is the default, which is good. So if we were utilizing TLS, the Transport Layer Security or SSL, to encrypt the web traffic, we would use port 443 instead. So there are versions of IIS designed to run on a desktop machine rather than the server, but they can be useful in the development of testing the web applications, which I did another video, but unfortunately I cannot upload to YouTube due to stuff. You can read between the lines on that. But setting the host-based firewall to allow inbound traffic on port 80 is not unusual. I'll put it that way. So you can actually close this out, right? And we can move over to our next exercise here. So I'm actually going to go over databases. So with the rising trend of data harvesting, right, databases are now a mainstay of any current systems. However, the information is not stored in a proper format and it's not safeguarded. Databases can be prone to several types of attacks. So we're actually going to take a look at using hashing, right, to protect the data, just so we can, verify a file, a source file that's not corrupted or anything, and we compare the file's new hash to the previously generated hash value, which again, we did go over in another video, the basic of cryptography, I believe. So we're just going to navigate to the cryptography. Actually, we're going to use the exact same application I used in that video, the the crypto demo 1.0. So click on the hashing tab, right? MD5, which is good. It's a very common hash type. So this is pretty similar, if not the exact same thing, to the best of my memory, of what I did, just creating hashes for data. So it's not a straight text file. It's actually, encrypted. All right. So get hash. Right. So hashes, and I can do this a squillion times. It's not going to change. Right. I can. The only way it'll change is if I change the algorithm itself. So, but it'll change every time if you do it with encryption. So we want to focus on hash, but I just, see it. Hmm. Um, whatever. No, but I just wanted to see it. But let's focus on hashing. So let's so we already went over different hashing algorithms, right? That's the only way to get the hash to change, right? So it'll keep changing that, but that's one of the better ways to protect information, right? Especially string text data. So now for application security in particular, right? So developers need to ensure that they avoid introducing bugs, which like bug boundaries exist, right? And vulnerabilities that attract hackers. So methods like secure coding practice, secure cookies, HTTP headers, code signing, whitelisting, blacklisting, static code analysis, things of that nature. Let's actually swivel over to DMO1. So we actually you need to use that server manager there to do a few things. All right. Perfecto. So let's actually, I'll have to click it again. Not. There it is. All right, my guy. Perfect. Want role base, of course. You also, okay, this is good. That server. And for this one, we want the web server. Yes. All right, we're good. And perfect. Um, thought thought it was something else I could do. All right, so we want IP. There we go. All right, perfect. All right, so I'm good with this. All right, so we're good. All right, keep that. All right, perfect. Just want to make sure this is good. Yeah, perfect. Now for the install. Okay, now it's just going to trace pretty much the progression. All right, and I'll put us on the other side of this install so you guys don't have to go through it with me. All right, so the install is complete, so we're good here. So we can actually, now we can get to our next task, which is going to be configure an IIS blacklist. So after now we installed the IIS on our server, we're going to add a deny entry to the installed IIS, which creates, this entry is going to create the blacklist. So at least denying access to a range of IP numbers. So what we're going to do is ultimately use the IP and domain restriction features that we just installed to prevent a certain domain or IP numbers from accessing the website. So let's see. Actually, no, let's go down here. Here. All right. And yeah, that's good. Perfect. All right. So this dialog box, actually, I'd like to blow it up here. Now we're just going to expand it, right? So it's going to show us a lot of different nodes, right? At least here for us to click on. Let's actually take a look at the default site. There we go. So let's look at IP. There we go. Click on open. All right, perfect. So we can see now clearly there's no, we can see we're in IP and domain restrictions. We can see there's no IP address, right, or domain restrictions specified for the default website, right? So get this out the way. So, so now we're just going to add deny entry, which is what we're here to do specifically. So let's do the entry here, right? Then we're going to do actually do that. Too fast. All right. Perfect. So now the mass field is a, no, my mouse stops working. Now, so the mass field is a subnet mask, right? That defines the number of IP ranges, number of startings with just that we just entered. So Therefore, this rule tells the IIS to block requests from the IP numbers that range from 2473.166.0 to 2473.166.255, right? So now, so we see the deny entry, right? That's created. This is the blacklisting that I was referring to. So we can actually create more deny entries over time as we identify the IP ranges to exclude from the default website. So similarly, we can actually create allow entries, right, that specify the IP numbers that allow to access the site. So this actually blocks access to all the other IP addresses, and this is called whitelisting when we allow, right? Black deny, white allow. That's kind of weird, but yeah, how it goes. So whitelisting is actually useful only when a few well-known computers with fixed IP numbers or within a fixed range are access or to access the site. So I'm actually going to close these out. I can stop rambling. Right? So now we're going to get into hardening, right? So application hardening is based on a strong design. I mentioned earlier with the developers as far as web applications, same foundational concept, right? As far as making sure that everything is secure as possible while building it. You want to adhere to secure coding practices such as like inputting validation, encryption, data handling, right? Another practice to do this is just keeping test systems and live systems separate via sandboxing. We're actually going to do a little bit of that. And the first task of doing this is going to be identifying open ports and operating software OS details. So Nmap is, we use it on another video to do other things, but what we're going to use on this video is to we're going to find live hosts and scan for open ports across the system and perform a lot of other things as well, such as like OS detections and just just the details of the OS, right, for the IP range. So let me try to make sure this is open. Right. So oh, everything's still open. Here, I go. Let's do some end mapping. Right. So um file. Now it's just gonna result, it's just gonna say the results for the file called the host. Right. So when the nmap is finishing scanning, just gonna move on to the next task, and then we should see the host text file that we actually, as I was talking, it's gonna populate on our desktop, right? So we're actually gonna open it up, and we'll actually see some results. As we can see here, let me open this up. I like to see everything. So I'm gonna actually look for 0.1 for the IP. Oh, there it is. All right, so I'm just looking around, but nonetheless, all right, this is what I was looking for ultimately. All right, so we just want to take a look at the listings for the open ports, right? So pretty much all of 53, 88, 135, 139, 389, 445, whatever, blah, 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 right? So we can close that out. So now we're actually going to type another command so we can identify DOS, right? Let's see. All right, you're just going to identify the OS systems and to send scan CC ports using the synchronized package. Should take a quick second. Perfect. So let me actually open this up. I know it's criminal to do this, but now let's actually notice the output, right, of the scan. So regarding the OS details, right? Let's see, here it is, OS detection. Now regarding the OS details, right, the nmap cannot detect the OS because the firewall on at least specifically DCO1. Let's see, it's that where we're scanning. Yeah, because that's the IP I gave it. So on for DCO1 is preventing OS footprinting, right? So now we're just going to do some hardening hosts with updated services or update services rather. It's some variation of this just to an extent. In another video, it was actually an arduous video, but we got it done, right? So Now, what this does is the Windows Server Update service provides patch management, right? It's a solution to deploy updates onto servers. I believe in the video I did, I went into manually doing it and also automating that as well. But while this is a good patch management solution, right, around WS, SUS, or any third-party tool to get third-party updates as well, it's better to use a third-party product to push updates on the client system. So let's actually swivel over to DC01 and so we can do a few things here. Right. So I'm just going to use a CLI, right, to install the WSUS. So it is possible to install it through a GUI, through the add roles features wizard. It can be done, but I like PowerShell. Let's actually do that. Then we're going to add Windows features, or feature rather. I can sell. I need to pull down. Okay. Let's just have it. I don't think it's gonna take. I think I. There we go. All right, so this typically takes usually a few minutes to complete. I know it's going pretty fast, but I'll put us on the other side of the install and so we can move forward. All right, so the update is complete, or the install rather is good to go. So I'm just going to head back to the server. Then go to server update, right? For locally, of course. That was like a product, like local. All right, perfect. From that, may take a few minutes. And of course, I'm going to put up the other side of that install as well. All right, so the install is successfully done. So now, if I refresh it, we should see an exclamation. Oh, there it is. That's fine. All right, perfect. So we can actually get started here. Yes, I guess I would join. Do I have a choice? All right, so let me see if I can have Microsoft update. Yeah, that's fine. So let's take a look here. Use a proxy server. That's fine. All right, we can actually be able to start connecting. See, and I'll put us on the other side of this connection as well. All right, so the update has finally completed. English. Load here. So, Windows. Actually, first of all, let me do that. And maybe down here. There it is. All right, perfect. All right, now we just need only critical updates. Okay, perfect. And of course, we want to synchronize manually. It's okay. And we can, of course, begin the initial synchronization. And we can finish. Perfect. All right, so now we have the update services dialog box, right? Just need to expand this. There we go. Now just I'll wait for this to load here. Now we just waited for the progress of the synchronization, right? For the download, for the updates we just downloaded, right? Just take a few moments. Okay. Actually, it's here. Now, once this is done synchronizing, I'm actually going to observe the details of the download. So beyond here, I'm going to have to configure the WSUS or the Windows Server Update Services as an updated distribution point, which needs to be done through the group policy. So definitely do a group policy update. And after we configure the group policy, all the domain systems, they will get updates from the WSUS. So shouldn't take much longer. Perfect. All right, we're good to go. Report. That's quite a bit. All right, so now we can move forward with sandboxing. So by default in a Windows environment, software is installed in the hard drive directly, right? So Windows OS, right, at least the enterprise, provides a Windows sandbox solution that actually allows us to run the software in a controlled environment. So let me minimize this. All right. So with the sandbox solution, the software is installed and run from a sandbox environment. I actually believe I did another video on this, actually utilizing the sandbox for Windows. So I'm actually going to do that again here. Oh, hey, Hashi, how you doing, buddy? So let's actually open up that. First. Now, it's going to be a virtual environment, right? It's going to be running here in this window. And actually, while I was doing that, let me open this up here. Go to downloads. Sandbox. There we go. I'm actually going to install the map in here. Now, the idea of this, right, even though I'm installing, the idea of the task is not to just show the installation, but how we can work within the sandbox environment. So the install, sometimes it could take a while to complete. It looks like it's going by pretty quickly. But we can also test a sandbox with an application that's quicker to install as well. And usually the sandbox, it retains the information as long as it's active. So when we close the whatever. So when we close it, anything that I do like installing then map here and everything else that I would install, once I close it out, it's going to be gone. You know, as you can saw it on the desktop there, but once I click X, everything is pretty much going to be wiped. It's going to be a full reset. Long story short, it's going to be back to square one. The other way to put it. Um, actually, I'm actually going to showcase that how that looks on um, after this download is complete. Right? So the install has completed, right? At least I thought it did. It just said it was completed. So, yeah, whatever. All right, that's fine. Perfect. We can actually open it up and everything, and it's working just as normal, right? And we can see it on the desktop, the actual application, and the install file for it, right? So we close it out, permanently lost and discarded. That's fine. And we can actually go back. Actually, it's already here. Yeah. Then when it loads, we're going to see everything back absolutely to the way it was before. There it is. Perfect. So there you go. So like I said, everything is pretty much completely erased. Everything is back to square one. And it definitely gives you that prompt every time that you actually close it out. So this is the end of the video for application and host hardening techniques. So just for a brief recap of everything that we went over, just endpoint protection, boot integrity, database application security, hardening, sandboxing for our last exercise. We know we're anti-malware, configuring and installing WSUS. Things of that nature, we work with the Windows Sandbox. So it's one of the longer ones, but it was definitely fulfilling as far as going over those different exercises to really get our hands into the environment to go over different techniques to better detect, not detect it, to better explore what's out there as far as securing our networks and our devices, right? But nonetheless, this is the end of the video. Thank you guys for watching. If you're still here, stay curious, stay secure. See you on the next one.